My name is Geraldine Landis. I'm 36 years old, and I'm the person everyone in my family calls when something breaks. Usually, that something is a body part. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I repair torn rotator cuffs, pin fractured hips, reset dislocated shoulders. I know how to line up what's crooked, stabilize it, and give it time to heal. I wish family wounds worked the same way. Sunday dinner smelled like roast chicken and too sweet wine, the kind my mom insists is special, even though it's always on sale. The house hummed with familiar background noises, the AC kicking on, the soft whir of the ceiling fan, the dying ice machine in the fridge rattling itself awake. My dad poked at his peas like they were hiding answers he didn't want to face. Across from me sat my younger sister Emma, 28, glowing, and fully in bride mode. She kept twisting her engagement ring so the diamond caught the light. Every time it sparkled, Mom's eyes softened with pride. Dad's eyes never lifted from his plate. I should have known the script was already written. Mom didn't clear her throat or build up to it. She folded her napkin as if she were settling a verdict. Then she said calmly and with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, "Geraldine, I know you spent $720,000 to save our house, but we are signing the house over to your sister as a wedding gift." The room didn't move, but everything in me did. The AC hummed louder. The kitchen light flickered. I suddenly felt every heartbeat in the handle of my fork. Emma leaned back, smirk forming like she'd been waiting for her cue. "And don't come to my wedding," she added. "It's for immediate family, and people who don't make everything about themselves." My mouth went dry. My fork hovered over mashed potatoes I no longer wanted. I smiled, not a warm smile, one of those cold, tired, surgical smiles you learn after years of cutting through both bone and nonsense. "Dad," I said quietly, "should I tell them, or will you?" His fork slipped from his fingers and hit the plate with a sharp, honest clink. Mom frowned. "Tell us what, Geraldine?" Emma widened her eyes dramatically. "Oh my God, what is this? Another lecture?" Dad's jaw tightened. I watched the muscles flutter beneath his skin like he was bracing for impact. Finally, he forced out, "There's nothing to tell." Too fast, too rehearsed. I pushed my chair back. The legs scraped against the worn wood floor I'd grown up on. "Okay," I said, "then I'll tell it." But this wasn't really where the story began. I grew up in this house, the one with the crooked porch step that's tripped every friend I've ever brought over, and the lilac bushes my grandfather planted along the fence. In spring, the whole yard smells like childhood. My dad worked at an auto parts warehouse until his back finally gave out. My mom did everything and nothing. PTA sign-ups, church bake sales, casseroles delivered with a side of neighborhood gossip wrapped in concern. My sister Emma was the prodigy. Piano recitals, speech competitions, trophies for days. The hallway corkboard was basically her personal shrine. People would stop and admire it. "Your daughters are so talented," they'd say. Mom would beam. "Emma's the star. Geraldine just works hard." Just, as if I were background noise. I was the kid with flashcards, calluses from washing dishes at the diner after school, and a permanently empty gas tank. Pre-med wasn't glamorous. It was caffeine, exhaustion, and a rusted-out Honda with no heat. Residency? Even worse. Call rooms that smelled like bleach, fear, and microwave noodles. Nights where I slept sitting up because lying down felt like too much commitment. My family dynamic never healed. It just hardened. Mom's favorite weapon was, "We raised you. You owe us." It shapeshifted depending on the bill. Property taxes, a new roof, Emma's tuition, Emma's car insurance, the emergency plumber, who was somehow always doing us a favor. Every request came with a compliment, a spoonful of emotional sugar to help the guilt go down. "You're so successful now, Geraldine, it's nothing to you." Dad never asked. He just sighed and looked tired. Emma didn't ask either. She demanded, "Can you Venmo me for the LSAT class? It's investing in the family. You want a lawyer in the family, right?" She didn't get into law school. Suddenly it was, MBA is better. Then she dropped out of that. "Wedding planning is basically full-time," she declared, like the universe had given her an honorary PhD in entitlement. Years ago, during the recession, my parents' adjustable-rate mortgage spiked. The house started sliding toward foreclosure like it was on ice. Mom called me, crying so hard she hiccuped. "They'll take our home," she sobbed. "Geraldine, your father will die if he has to move." I'd just come out of a surgery that ran long. My hands still smelled like betadine. My legs shook from standing 12 hours. But I still said, "I'll fix it." And I did. Not once. Over and over and over. $720,000 in total. Dripped out across years. stopping foreclosure, clearing liens, paying off a second mortgage I didn't know existed. Every transfer had a note. Every crisis had a price tag. Every time I said yes. At first, my parents thanked me. Mom texted heart emojis and pictures of the lilacs blooming. Dad sent a thumbs up. Emma posted a selfie on the porch with the caption, "Home sweet home. Family forever. No tag, no credit, just convenient amnesia." The recognition came in other forms. Shifts I turned down. Vacations I canceled. A ring I never bought for the man who eventually got tired of competing with my family's chaos. My colleagues joked about my mystery mortgage. I laughed along because admitting the truth felt humiliating. 2 years ago, I finally hit a breaking point. I sat my dad down at this exact kitchen table and said, "I can't keep doing this unless we get clarity." He stared at his hands and whispered, "I messed up. I kept taking out lines of credit to keep your mother happy. I didn't tell you because telling you makes me the villain. Asking makes you say no." I told him the only way I could continue helping was if the house was transferred into an LLC I controlled. They could live rent-free, but they couldn't borrow against it or put it in danger again. "It's not punishment," I said. "It's protection." Dad signed. We filed. The county clerk stamped the deed. I even photographed the green stamp. We didn't tell Mom. "She'll never forgive me if she finds out I lost the house," Dad said. "You didn't lose it," I told him. "I saved it." But secrets are like bad splints. They hold, but they don't heal. They strain. They rot. And tonight, they finally broke. Mom's announcement still hung in the air, thick and suffocating. "We're giving the house to your sister as a wedding gift." Emma was smirking. Dad was silent. My heart was pounding. I looked right at my father. "Dad," I repeated softly, "should I tell them, or will you?" He stared at the table and whispered, "There's nothing to tell." I stood. "Okay," I said. "Then I'll tell it." And for the first time in my life, I stopped protecting their lies. My father stayed frozen at the table, his fork still lying in front of him like a surrendered weapon. Mom's eyes darted between us, confusion turning sharp, then suspicious. Emma crossed her arms. "Seriously, Geraldine, what dramatic monologue are we doing now?" I didn't sit back down. Instead, I took my phone from my bag, unlocked it, and opened the album I hoped I'd never need in front of them. The one titled House. I placed the phone gently between the salt shaker and the pepper grinder. Mom leaned forward, squinting. "What is this?" "The truth," I said. "The receipts." The first photo was a county record, the Remington Place deed. "Recorded grantee, our home LLC." The second, the notarized occupancy agreement my father signed 2 years ago. Emma laughed, loud, brittle. "Oh my God, fake. You made a fake document." She tapped the screen with her new manicure like she expected the county seal to smudge. I didn't say a word. I swiped to the next image. Wire transfer after wire transfer after wire transfer. April 4th, $185,000. June 19th, $152,000. September 1st, $210,000. A dozen smaller ones, like stitches. Mom's eyes flicked between the pictures and my face. "I don't understand. What are these?" "They're the money transfers I made to stop your foreclosure," I said. "All $720,000 of them." Silence. The kind that weighs. The kind that sinks. I looked at my father. "Dad," I said softly, "please." He inhaled, long and shaky, like someone preparing for anesthesia. "It's true," he whispered. Emma stopped breathing. Mom blinked twice, then 3 times, as if her brain was buffering. Her voice finally broke open. "You went behind my back?" I kept my hands flat on the table so they wouldn't shake. "I saved our home," I said. "I let you live here because you're my parents. But you don't get to pretend it's yours to give away. Not to Emma, not to anyone." Emma shot up from her seat, the chair scraping against the floor. "So you're stealing our inheritance?" "It wasn't an inheritance," I said calmly. "It was a foreclosure. 2 liens, and 6 years of me choosing you over vacation, sleep, relationships." Zach muttered under his breath. "This is so dramatic." Of course he did. Mom slammed her palm on the table, tears pooling instantly. "Oh, look at you, throwing things in our faces. After everything we did for you, after we raised you, after you asked me for another $3,200 last week," I cut in gently, "for utilities that were actually a deposit for Emma's wedding venue." Mom's mouth opened, then closed. Emma's face reddened. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "The house is safe," I said. "You can live here, but you cannot borrow against it, transfer it, or gift it. If you try, I will get an injunction. I have already retained counsel." Emma's disbelief curdled into rage. "You're not invited to my wedding." I looked at her. then at Dad. You were going to sign it anyway, weren't you? I asked him quietly. His eyes squeezed shut. I didn't know how to tell her, he whispered. Mom shot to her feet. Get out of my house! Gladly, I said. I'll come back tomorrow, Dad, with the lease addendum we discussed. Utilities in your name. No events at the house. That includes weddings. Emma scoffed, unhinged. You can't stop me. I picked up my phone. Try me, I said, and walked out before they could see my hands start to shake. The longest night of my life. I barely slept. It felt like what surgeons call a controlled bleed, a case that should be simple but isn't, a slow leak you don't notice until recovery. I kept replaying the dinner, Mom's voice, Emma's smirk, Dad's fork hitting the plate, and the memory of the man I once loved, the one I didn't propose to because there was always some new family emergency. My phone lit up all night. From Mom, you made your father sick. From Emma, you're unhinged. I hope you're happy. From Zach, my parents think you're abusive. From Dad, nothing. Just silence. His silence always hurt the most. Boundaries begin. The next morning, I drove to the house with the lease addendum and a bag of bagels. Because apparently, I'm the kind of woman who brings breakfast even when she's enforcing boundaries. Dad met me in the driveway. His hands were shoved deep in his pockets. She won't sign, he said quietly. It's a boundary, I replied. Utilities in your name. No events. Those were the rules we agreed on 2 years ago. He nodded, then looked away. She's already planning the rehearsal dinner, he admitted. Says you can't stop a family celebration. I can, I said, and I will. Before he could answer, the front door opened. Mom stood there. When she saw me, she didn't even hesitate. No solicitors, she said coldly, and slammed the door shut. I stood there for a moment, the bagels suddenly feeling absurd in my hands. Then I walked back to my car, emailed the documents, CC'd the attorney and Dad, and canceled the family credit card Emma had been using. The next week was quiet. Too quiet. Except for the bridal shower posts and the Bible verses about forgiveness. Forgiveness always seemed to be the verse Mom used when she'd done the unforgivable. Rehearsal week. Evergreen Tents called 3 days before the rehearsal dinner. Hi, we're delivering... Cancel it, I said. The property has occupancy rules. No events over 20 people. I emailed the agreement to them as proof. Emma called, then texted, then called again. Her voicemails alternated between rage, tears, threats, and dramatic sniffles. I silenced my phone. Rehearsal day came. No tents arrived. They strung cafe lights instead and held the rehearsal in the yard anyway. 32 guests. I didn't intervene. I wasn't here to keep score. I was here to keep a boundary. And the real storm was still coming. The morning of Emma's wedding, I was already scrubbed into surgery, my hands deep in the work that made sense. Bone, tendon, precision, order. Unlike family drama, surgical chaos follows rules. When something is broken, you identify it, fix it, and move on. Families don't work like bones. They splinter, then pretend they're whole. My phone vibrated in my locker, again and again and again. 60 missed calls. Mom, Emma, Zach, Dad. When I finally stepped out of the OR, sweat drying on my neck, I checked the most recent voicemail. It was Dad. She called the cops. I stopped breathing for a full second. The photographer set up at the house, he said breathlessly. They said they're allowed. Your mother insisted. The officer wants to know who legally owns the property. My stomach dropped. I washed my hands, changed into clean scrubs, and stepped into the hallway, leaning against the cool wall. Put the officer on the phone, I told him. The police confirmation. The officer was surprisingly calm. Ma'am, the homeowner's name on county record is Our Home LLC. Are you the managing member? Yes, I said. He asked me to email proof. I sent the deed and the signed occupancy agreement before he even hung up. 5 minutes later, Dad called back. It's done, he said quietly. They had to leave the property. In the background, I heard Mom shouting, Emma crying, Zach swearing, someone slamming a door. Dad whispered, I'm sorry. Then the line went dead. The wedding meltdown. I didn't see the meltdown in person. I saw it online, because of course Emma posted it. A picture of herself in her wedding dress, standing on the curb, mascara streaked down her face, bouquet abandoned at her feet, her middle finger raised straight at the camera. Caption: My sister ruined my wedding. Hope she's happy. The comments section was already a battlefield. I didn't engage. I didn't defend myself. Instead, I sent her one message. I didn't ruin anything. I told the truth and enforced a boundary. You chose lies and an audience. I put my phone on silent and went back to work. The bone I was fixing made more sense than my family ever had. Aftermath. Later that night, Dad called. They started late, he said softly. They took photos at the church. Your mother won't talk to me, or you. His voice cracked at the edges. I'm sorry, Geraldine. I should have told her the truth. You tried, I said. You just tried too late. He sighed, a tired, heavy kind of sound. Come by next week, he said, please. The folder. A week later, I drove to the house with a plain manila folder in my hands. What living here means. I had printed the title neatly on the front. Mom didn't come out. Dad did. He poured himself coffee and sat at the kitchen table. She thinks you humiliated her, he said quietly. I didn't show up, I said. That was the point. He nodded. Inside the folder were the same documents I'd emailed. The occupancy agreement, a 1-year lease, a 1-page list of rules, utilities in your name, lawn care, no events over 20 people, no alterations to the property, no loans or signatures without my approval, clear consequences, 2 warnings, termination after that, not threats, boundaries. I can't sign for her, Dad whispered. I'm not asking you to, I said. I'm asking you to sign for you. His hand shook as he signed. Mom appeared in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes sharp with wounded pride. Well, she snapped, you must be proud of yourself. No, I said honestly. I'm done being an ATM with a stethoscope. I regret the years I lost trying to keep the peace. Emma didn't reach out. Zach unfriended me. My phone stayed silent. But for the first time in years, the silence didn't hurt. Recalibration. In the weeks that followed, I noticed things I'd been too exhausted to see. Morning light streaming into my apartment. Coffee that tasted like something other than fuel. My shoulders slowly unclenching. I started saying no at work. Went to weekday movies. Took weekend hikes. Texted the man I once pulled away from because my family always needed me more. For the first time in my adult life, I was living for myself, not for the next crisis. 2 months later, an envelope arrived in the mail. Inside, a photo of Dad standing on the porch, smiling gently. The lilac bushes blooming behind him. A note. Paid the water bill. Fixed the porch step. Thank you. A week later, a text from Emma. House looks nice. We're moving closer to Zach's job. Cheaper place. Smaller, but fine. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed, I hope you build something that's yours. Emma heart reacted. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but a beginning. A quiet one. A small one. And for the first time ever, just the right size for both of us.